So this week we're studying sound qualities and line lengths and meter. And so I have a poem that I absolutely love that demonstrates so many sound qualities and qualities of meter and other things as well. It's tiny and it's not very deep, but it is a good example of a lot of different poetic elements. It's called Blow by Humphrey. Her skirt was lofted by the gale, when I with gesture deft essayed to stay her frisky sail, she luffed and laughed and left. By the way, essayed means to try, which is why when you write an essay, you are actually trying to make sense of something. But that has nothing to do with this. I just want to make sure you understand the word. This poem is a great example of rhyme. It is a 4-line poem, and when you have 4-line stanzas, they're called quatrains. And this is a rhyming quatrain. Many poems have more than one. This poem only has one. It's very compressed, but it has a lot of great stuff in it. So first of all, the end rhyme, gale, sail, deft, left, has a rhyme scheme that we call ABAB, because the gale and sail rhyme, those are the A's, and deft and left are the B's. And this is the typical way that we demonstrate what kind of rhyme a poem has by sketching out the rhyme scheme like that. When we get into sonnets and villanelles and other kinds of formal poetry, you will see that this rhyme scheme designation is important to know. So the poem also has another kind of sound quality that's very common in poetry called alliteration. Now, normally, alliteration is considered with consonant sounds at the beginnings of words, but this poem has repeated consonant sounds at both the beginnings and in the middle of words and ends of words, and they all kind of work together to make the alliteration. So as you've probably noticed as I read this poem, I have a bit of a lisp, which affects me with the S's and the F's, of which there are quite a few. And notice that the GH in left is pronounced as an F, so it's also part of the alliteration. And then we also obviously have a lot of L's. These soft consonant sounds go along with the whole idea of the wind blowing, the gale, the frisky sail, and the blow. So they actually serve to augment the meaning of the poem. We have a similar augmentation of the meaning with these vowel sounds, and that is called assonance. The repetition of the long A sounds and the short E sounds makes for, again, sort of a smooth, flowing, windy, breezy kind of sound to this poem that accentuates the meaning of it. This sound quality is similar to alliteration, but it's also a kind of slant rhyme or near rhyme or off rhyme. It's a particular kind that's called consonance because it has repetition of the consonant letters, but different vowel sounds. Loft, luft, laughed, left. They almost rhyme, but they don't quite, and that's called consonance. Additionally, this poem has a very regular iambic meter, as we'll be learning about this week. If you recall, iambic meter is when the first syllable is unaccented and the second is accented, and each foot is 2 syllables. So, her skirt was lofted by the gale when I, with gesture deft, essayed to stay her frisky sail, she luffed and laughed and left. This kind of very regular meter is common in rhyming poems that are not particularly serious. There's something about that kind of too regular meter that makes you know that it's a little bit of a light poem in a way, meaning-wise. But you'll also notice that every other line has 4 feet or 4 stressed syllables, and the other lines have 3. The ones with 4 are called iambic tetrameter, and the ones with 3 are called iambic trimeter. And this is actually a fairly common rhythm for rhyming quatrains. There's just something about that 4/3 that's very kind of pleasing to the ear, but again, in sort of a light way. Adding to the lightness meter is about. And actually, this also is an example of a metaphor, which is where we compare one thing to another. And this is an extended metaphor where the woman is being compared to a sailboat. Her skirt was lofted by the gale. Her frisky sail she luffed. To luff is with a sailboat to turn into the wind. You can see the sail kind of blowing, just like Marilyn Monroe's skirt is blowing, which is the image that I picture when I hear this poem. And we have this man off to the side who could be the speaker of the poem coming over to try to help her. But I can see her just laughing in his face and leaving, which leads to the last really fun element of this poem, which is the title, which is a pun because obviously the wind is blowing, but there are also two other ways in which the word blow is kind of under the surface or really kind of on the surface of this poem. And one of them is it's kind of a blow to his ego when she blows him off by luffing and laughing and leaving. So this poem to me is just an amazing example of how you can compress so much language, image, sound, meaning, just rhythm, just everything into 4 lines and one syllable title. There's just so much in here. So I really enjoy it for all of that. The thing is, like I said, it's a very light poem. It is so neat and tidy, I guess. And this poem, I feel like, kind of celebrates the opposite of that poem. Tess Gallagher, who's a wonderful poet, wrote down this poem from Cathal was a blues singer, and she, I guess, just transcribed what he wrote. She may have played with it a little bit to turn it into a poem, but she said, "You can sing sweet and get the song sung, but to get to the third dimension, you have to sing it rough, hurt the tune a little, put enough strength to it that the notes slip. Then something else happens. The song gets large." Blow is not a large poem, but this poem here is small in size, just like Blow is, but there's more to it. There's depth to it. It still has alliteration, sweet song, sung, strength, slip, and others, but it isn't quite so neat and tidy. It doesn't have the sing-songy rhythm to it. Now, a poem can have rhythm and rhyme and still be deep. For example, Robert Frost's Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening has a lot of depth to it in addition to regular meter and rhyme scheme, but it's just not as well contained. The lines aren't end stopped. They roll over in places, which is called enjambment. Just like this poem has, for example, put enough strength to it, then something else happens. The song gets large. The meaning and the pauses in the poem in the sentences run over the end of the line. The end of the line is not the end of a grammatical thought. So that's called run-on or enjambed lines. And that is something that can help you sing the song rough a little bit, whereas Blow obviously doesn't have that. In any case, I feel like these two poems tell us a lot about sound qualities and what they can add to a poem, both to affect the mood of it and the meaning and just our enjoyment of it, how it sounds in our mouth. So I hope both of them are meaningful to you.